Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back. And what are we getting into? We're getting into Love Island All Stars episode 27 and 28. As you already know, I do go in chronological order when it comes to these videos. Episode 27 was the unseen bits, which I don't go into, but we will be getting into episode 28 in terms of where it left off from last time. Before I get into it, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so you know I'm on and doing videos. And let's get into this video, shall we? I'm going to start off by saying first and foremost, it wasn't a great episode, to be fair. It really wasn't. It was a bit staid. The only issues that were coming off is it left off where Chris was pitied to leave and Adam had arrived and taken Arabella at the end of the day. So basically, it shows Chris looking a little bit shell-shocked, but I don't think he was too particularly bothered, to be honest with you. Everybody was saying their goodbyes. He went, he got himself ready, went out, did his exit interview. So when we go back into the villa, you see that Toby and Georgia S are very much upset and didn't know that, you know, actually Chris had known Georgia S way before all of this. Like on the outside, he'd known her for a good few years and saw her as like his little sister basically. So it stood to reason at that point why Georgia S was so upset, because when you actually look at it overall between Georgia S and Chris when they were in it, you'd see Toby having more conversations with Chris and Kaz, all through them three, the three amigos together, rather than Chris and Georgia S. But now we know that, you know what, we don't see everything. We definitely don't see everything. They only show us what they're going to show us, and they definitely did not show us that relationship between Chris and Georgia S at the end of the day. But hey ho, those two are quite upset, and Toby's like literally gone in on himself really. Then we see Casey going on his BS tour. Casey's now on the BS tour in regards to Eve. Remember, he'd only just been saved to stay in the villa to work out his relationship with Eve at the end of the day. Now, he's basically saying that he doesn't have that connection or attraction to Eve at this moment in time. He doesn't feel that if they were to get on the outside that it would work, but he doesn't necessarily want to lead Eve on either. So my thing is at that point, after you'd had your conversation with the lads and told them where you were, especially when it came to Tom and Callum, at that point, my guy, you should have went to Eve and had those conversations with Eve. Or furthermore, when you was chatting to Eve throughout that point in time, you should have spoke to Eve and said, like, this is where my head is at. But he didn't do that at all in the slightest. He left it a little bit too late to go to her, because she was the one that had to call him. I am jumping ahead of myself. She was the one that had to call him after Callum had a discussion with Sophie and basically told Sophie, in essence, kind of what Casey has said. But Callum made an absolute meal of it. Instead of just coming out and said, you know what, Casey said X, Y, and Z, he was trying to go around the garden path, while as trying not to throw Casey under the bus, but then also saying to Sophie in the next breath to make sure that Eve is okay. At the end of the day, Callum should have just kept it to himself, because he just made a piecemeal of that conversation. Because then what happened, as they do, Sophie called Jess and Sophie called Eve together and discussed with them what Callum was telling her. Bearing in mind, Sophie is friends with Eve and Jess on the outside. These are her girls, so of course she's going to tell them, and that's probably why Callum picked Sophie in the first place. So Sophie's explaining it, but not explaining it in the way it should have been explained. So basically, Eve was taking it as this man has turned around and said to people he don't see a future with them on the outside, and basically murking her off throughout the whole conversation, when that wasn't it at all. Casey was actually quite positive about Eve in that conversation. He just felt that he just doesn't feel that there's an attraction there right now. And this is what happens when people do that whispers around the bloody villa. As soon as you feel an inkling that you don't want someone, you should take fast and go speak to the person that you coupled up with first before you go talk to somebody else. So Eve then calls Casey up to the terrace and wants to speak to him. So basically, Sophie and Jess then leave. So she has this conversation with Casey and literally starts going in on Casey in regards to how he's mugged her off and what he said. And Casey was basically saying, I didn't say those words and you're taking it way out of context, and it's been taken out of context. But the thing that I had to point out that Casey did say to her is, instead of like listening to what other people have said that Callum may have said, yeah, maybe you should have gone back to Callum and had that conversation with him. And I'm like, my guy, no. The key point was you should have took your ass and gone and had that conversation with Eve in the first place. It would have saved you the headache that you're having now at the end of the day. So Eve decides, I'm going to call Callum up here, thinking Callum's going to have her back in that scenario. Did he fuck? At the end of the day, Callum came up and she asked the key question. Did Casey say that he does not see a future outside of this villa for us? Like, he don't see a future at all. Callum said, no, he didn't say that. That kind of shut Eve up. And Casey was like, thank you. And then she picked on something else. So Casey was basically saying to her, at the end of the day, this is what I said. I'd said that I don't feel a connection or attraction there yet. I'm saying yet, you never know, it could come on later on in time. But I'm sorry, no, Casey was still wrong in that. At the end of the day, even though we don't feel an attraction or some kind of connection to this girl, he was talking as though he didn't even want to follow that up on the outside because he didn't believe that it would work on the outside in essence. But he didn't want to lead the girl on. Now you're kind of leading the girl on because you're saying something completely different to what you said to Callum. So let's just say that conversation ended there, and it ended on Eve basically saying that she doesn't want to get to know Casey anymore because she doesn't feel that it will be working out anyway in the slightest. And I'm like, yeah, you're only doing that because you want to save face now, but at the end of the day, it's their choice on what the hell they want to do. So then, and basically during the daytime, Callum confused the twins completely, brought a coffee up for Jess and ended up giving it to Eve. Confused them completely. So then basically you see them Adam having a chat with people and saying that he's a bombshell. He's going to use that bombshell title liberally. He's literally going to get to know people, but then he's saying on the other side, maybe he should have told Arabella as well that, you know, he is going to be getting to know other people in here too. And I mean, it is only one night. It's one night and Arabella's there sparking like she's in love with this dude. And I'm like, again, Arabella, come on. Do you literally have to jump that fast for people, like, before you get to know them properly? Like, can you really jump that fast for people? Seriously, because she did it with Chris. She kind of did it with Joe. Now she's doing it with Adam. She's done it with every guy that's passed by her way or she's been coupled off with. So she's like singing bird song at the moment because she is wanting this guy and she's thinking that Adam coming in is now her sign. The fact that he picked her is now her sign, basically. So they go up and have a chat up on the terrace. Adam takes her up on the terrace on the night time. All the girls are at the bottom and saying that, you know, Arabella's got game at the end of the day. So she's sitting there having these chats with him and said that, you know, she saw him pulling people off to the side and that's to be expected. He needs to get to know other people and see what's what at the end of the day. But she believes that they gravitate, and he said so, more to each other. Now, Arabella chats a good game. She really does. Arabella can chat a good game, and that's how she's reeling Adam in at the moment. So they do share a kiss on the terrace. He does the whole throat hold. Yes, he does the whole throat hold. I was like, well, damn. But I have to say the kiss was nothing to write home about. Even though Arabella said it was the best kiss she's had on the terrace yet. I was like, yeah, nah, your kiss with Chris was much better and much deeper, to be fair. The kiss with Adam was just meh. It was just meh. It didn't give what it was supposed to give. So I did forget to say that all of this taking place over evening time, like the chat between Arabella and Adam on the terrace and the kiss, the chat between Callum and Sophie, I believe, and the chat between Eve and Casey, and all of that kerfuffle was during the pre-love pink party, basically. So they were all having their enjoyment, enjoying themselves. So then basically another text comes in and everybody had to go by the fire pit. And I was like, here it goes. Everybody had to take their ass to the fire pit. And basically the public, they found out that the public had been voting for their fave couple. Adam and Arabella were not included in that because they'd only just coupled off that night. So they said the couples with the fewest votes were at risk of being dumped from the island. So the three couples at risk was Sophie and Josh, Eve and Casey, Georgia S and Toby. So then it came that Eve and Casey were dumped from the island. The public had voted, and I just thought it's going to be hard for the twins to separate, because as Jess was saying, they live together, they wake up together, they speak about everything together. So it's going to be hard for them to have this separation, because there'll be no communication whatsoever until Jess comes out of that place, unless she gets dumped from the island or she makes it through to the final. Either way, there's going to be no communication. So Casey and Eve do have their exit interviews. Let's just say it was awkward as hell. Nothing to write home about, to be honest, but it was awkward as hell. And I think Casey just couldn't wait to get off them seats and go do his own thing. It does show a clip of the next episode, which is the heart rate challenge. And some people are looking slightly dismayed by that challenge, because these challenges never go well. Like, no matter if people find them to be fun in the beginning, shit comes out that they don't want to come out, and people start having a go at the person once the shit has come out. So yeah, these challenges are never fun. And that, my friends, is the end of the episode. It was a condensed version today because, as I said, there wasn't really much to talk about. But we'll see what happens tonight with the heart rate challenge. As I always say, my renegades, thank you so much for being a part of my channel. Thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. I really appreciate each and every one of you that do. And as I always say, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the notification button so when you know I am on and doing videos. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Peace out.